following is a presentation of the Pro Wrestling Report. Television, radio, internet, the world. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the post-show of TNA Victory Road live on pay-per-view. Damian Nelson coming to you here from the Pro Wrestling Report studios with all the results of what happened tonight live on pay-per-view from TNA Victory Road. And there are a lot of unhappy people out there right now because of what happened at the end of TNA's Victory Road pay-per-view. Damian Nelson here, joined by David Hero, who's going to be actually joining us in just a minute here on the post show. And we're going to be taking your phone calls. The number that you can call us at is 347-996-5278. Again, that's 347-996-5278. We've also got the chat room. The chat room live here on Blog Talk Radio, where your conversation has been continuing ever since we started the stream at 8:30 and now going into the post show, so continue posting your comments there. We're also on Twitter. Our Twitter username is @PWR Show, @PWR Show on Twitter and on Facebook, facebook.com/PWR Show, facebook.com/PWR Show. Again, we're going to be getting to your phone calls in just a minute, but we're going to go to DWHS, David Octavius Tiberius, the alleged Hall of Famer Hero. And David Hero, I'm almost at a loss for words as to the beginning and the end of TNA's Victory Road on pay-per-view. This almost is becoming a pay-per-view name they should just take right into the bathroom, an outhouse, and flush down the toilet, because Victory Road seemingly can never deliver.
Oh, man, tonight absolutely sucked. I mean, there were some good matches. I mean, I liked the tag match between Beer Money and Ink Inc. I thought X Division was strong. I even thought Matt Hardy had a good match with AJ Styles. But the last two matches is what everyone's going to be talking about. Who cares about Bubba and Dreamer and the Edas and the Knockouts and whatnot? But when you have two fan favorites as RVD and Ken Anderson to a double count out, okay, fine. You can explain that later. But then you go into, what, a 3-minute squash? Are you kidding me? I mean, that's what they should have done 2 weeks ago.
Right.
Not tonight on pay-per-view.
Yep.
I'm telling you right now, if we were not going to next month's pay-per-view in Cincinnati, I wouldn't be watching any more TNA pay-per-views.
Yeah.
Because it was a complete letdown. I mean, I'll be honest. I watched the TNA pay-per-views to watch Ken Anderson. That's pretty much what it comes down to, you know. And, you know, I don't know if I can do it anymore. I mean, you know, it's $35, you know.
Yeah.
That's 2 lap dances. You know what I'm saying? It's like, geez, you guys, get a clue.
And you know, I hear the same disappointment and almost anger in your voice that I'm sitting here experiencing. And, you know, we talked about whether or not we were going to do a stream for this pay-per-view and decided to do it. And while I don't regret that, it just sort of exemplifies how bad this effort, this presentation was by TNA. And I think, and you alluded to this point a moment ago, the point that need be made is the performers on this show, the majority of the performers on this show busted their asses in that ring tonight and delivered what they were booked to deliver. So the fault lies, again, with TNA Wrestling. And, David, I just don't understand. I really don't understand how failures can be happening one right after the other, right after the other, right after the other. This was an episode of Impact tonight. The stuff that happened tonight should have been an Impact leading into the pay-per-view. Think of it if this was last Thursday, and you have all this turmoil and drama leading into the pay-per-view. You know, they've got it backwards.
I honestly believe something happened in the booking meeting tonight, because when Sting walked up the ramp, somebody yelled something to him, and they on camera, you heard him go, "I agree."
I believe they were yelling, "That's bullshit."
Something must have happened. And I mean, here's how I feel about it right now. Unless I get an idea as to what happened tonight, there's no reason to even talk about this tomorrow on I'm at a loss for words. I can't believe how bad this was. On PWR Show tomorrow night. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's no reason to even talk about it because you know what they did? They screwed everyone that spent $35 or $45 to watch this show. I mean, and nobody was sent home happy.
No.
You know?
And no. You know, and we've said this so many times. You know, with the pieces they have, with the tools they have, with the people they have in TNA Wrestling, how do they continue to do this? How do they continue to have these epic failures, these disasters? And then, you know, maybe not Lockdown next month is going to be one of the best pay-per-views that we've ever done, but who's going to buy it after this tonight?
No, I'm not. I mean, we'll be there, but if we weren't going there, I would not be ordering it. And you know what? And you know, I've seen the chat where people are saying, "Oh, Jeff Hardy must have been messed up." Jeff Hardy has wrestled many a matches messed up. I'm sure that's not why it was cut short.
Yeah.
I mean, both guys spent more time putting their face paint on than they did in the ring.
As I said earlier, too, Jeff Hardy spent more time teasing, throwing a shirt into the audience than they spent in the ring. David Hero, let's go back 2 weeks. Let's go to March 3rd when Sting came back and won the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. And let's go back to the Impact of last week. And let's go back to the Jersey Shore and the NFL Star and the Karen and Jeff wedding, and now this. When March 3rd happened, we had a lot of interesting comments from people about TNA and a lot of people not happy with TNA Wrestling. David Hero, some people have used the word Titanic tonight as it pertains to TNA Wrestling.
Yeah, but not even that. It's bigger than that because they had a chance. They had Jeff Hardy versus Sting on pay-per-view. And they had two baby faces in Ken and RVD that would make, and then you had Matt and AJ. So people could really, you know, if there is any connection with the fans and these guys, they would order it for tonight. And the ones that did, I mean, this one here, for me, as far as I look at it by how it was booked, was a pay-per-view that was going to, you know, improve buy rates or lose them all. Because this one is going into their lockdown, which is one of their big pay-per-views.
Yep.
And they screwed the whole thing up. And even if they can get it right in the next 3 days worth of tapings, it's still not going to be enough.
Want to remind all of you
people that ordered tonight for the first time that dropped $35, and they'll be like, "Wow, that's the main event. Screw this. We're not going to get this again."
I can't
believe we're feeling that way.
Have you ever seen anything like this, where a main event ended in under a minute with really no reasonable explanation to it? I can't remember.
The last time I saw a main event botched this bad was with DDP and Goldberg. I think it was a Halloween Havoc.
Yeah, 98.
Where the pay-per-view went long.
Yep.
And
but even that,
at
least we got a match.
I'm convinced something went wrong because for Sting to agree with whatever was being shouted to him,
but why if something happened, which I agree, things tend to lead in that direction. But why did Bischoff come out and make it no DQ? Were they buying an extra few minutes on this thing, or what? Because if the decision had been made to go so fast with Sting winning the matchup, what was the point of making it no disqualification? That almost exemplified or exacerbated the point of the match only being a minute long and sucking.
Yeah, because they even use that to their advantage to have outside interference in the match.
Nope, not at all.
Honestly, I have no idea.
This is bad, David.
No idea.
This is bad. This is bad
brutal.
for wrestling.
Yeah.
And you know what? I really feel bad for the talents. And think about the conversations that are happening in that locker room right now. And think about how these talents have to, you know, toe the company in line for this this wagon load of crap that they fed us tonight. And think of the reputation damage that it does to these stars who are associated with this brand. I don't understand it. I just don't understand it.
Why do you think when somebody comes over from TNA that Vince McMahon keeps them off TV for 6 months, even sometimes a year? Because he wants to wash the stink of TNA off that talent.
Yeah.
Look how long it took for Gail Kim to appear on TV. Look how long it took for Christian to appear on TV. Even Ron Killing. Same thing's going to happen to Awesome Kong. She's not going to be on TV until after WrestleMania. And she will have been signed since when? November or December?
Long time ago.
Yeah, they want to make sure. I mean, she's not even in developmental right now. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
I mean, they just want to make sure that the stink of TNA is washed off these guys.
A couple of comments on our Facebook page, and remember the web address. I'm sorry, just reading some comments I came across on Twitter, but the web address for our Facebook page is facebook.com/Pro Wrestling Report. To your point earlier, David Hero, and excuse me for the colorful language here, I'll try to clean it up as best I can. Justin Tyler Barnaby says, I'm pissed off. I paid my hard-earned money for this piece of blank pay-per-view, and I only ordered it for Sting and my favorite wrestler, Hardy, and they were on for 2 minutes. WTF. Chasen Carroll on Facebook saying, TNA, that's how you end a pay-per-view. You guys had great TV ratings and probably some new fans watching your pay-per-view tonight, and you ended like that. Really? Really, TNA? I am a TNA fan and defend them a lot, but that ending, that was just effing stupid. It's not how you end a pay-per-view. That's not how you do it at all. What the hell are you doing? So much talent, and this crap happens. And, the sentiment is strong. And apparently some sites out there are reporting that Jeff Hardy was indeed in no condition to perform. We don't have confirmation of that, and it's not fair to speculate on that unless you heard from one of the horse's mouths there. But even as you said, David Hero, earlier, he's performed under the influence before, and many other people have, by the way. So that may not have been the only catalyst for things to have changed in that matchup. But this is going to be interesting over the next few days and few weeks. And going into WrestleMania, I mean, it's almost like TNA's given up.
Well, put it this way. If Jeff Hardy, and I like Jeff, I consider him a friend, but if Jeff Hardy is as messed up as they say he was, for him to not finish that match tonight, then they need to fire him.
Right. Exactly.
There's no reason to keep him around. Because, this isn't the first time this has happened, and it won't be the last time.
And the damage that he can see, or any performer can single-handedly do to the company by showing up in a state not able to work, whether it be injury, whether it be under the influence, or whether it be something that nobody knew about or nobody expected, is not worth having that talent there, no matter who it is. And that's what makes WWE so great at what they do. Because no matter who you are, just about no matter who you are, you're going to be punished if you violate their policies, specifically the wellness policy. And
It's not even about that. It's not even about violating a wellness policy. It's about when you're in the ring with somebody. And now, first of all, I have no idea why the match was called short. I'm just talking about in general. I don't care if it's Jeff Hardy, if it's Hulk Hogan, if it's Ken Anderson, if it's The Rock or whoever. But there is a certain level of trust between two guys in the ring to make sure nobody gets hurt. Absolutely. And when guys are messed up, there's a chance someone's going to get hurt, could be paralyzed, or even die in that ring.
Yep. And again, we are not in any way, shape, or form confirming any of the reports that are running around the internet out there right now that Jeff Hardy was on the influence. However, I understand a lot of fans jumping to that conclusion because his situation has been very public over the last few months, and it's not an unsafe assumption to go along with, especially when you read it being reported by some news sources out there. David Hero, in summary, as we get ready to take some phone calls, we're going to let you go. This pay-per-view, obviously a failure on TNA's part, but can they rebound from this? Can they do anything to get anything back that they lost tonight on this pay-per-view?
Yeah,
is it an apology
for free?
Yeah. Is it an apology from Dixie Carter, Eric Bischoff, Hulk Hogan, like a legit Jack Tunney office apology when the Warrior didn't show up? Actually, I was Gorilla Monsoon at the time back in 1996. But, is that even going to do it?
I don't know. I have no honestly, I mean, I'm going to make some calls tomorrow. I'm going to see what's going on down there, and hopefully I can get some answers, and we can have some good discussion, on tomorrow night's show. But I'm very disappointed in the whole thing, and I really think that whatever little momentum they had, they lost it all tonight. There's no reason to order another pay-per-view from them. There isn't.
Not at all.
Because this is what happens.
Yep. It's not anger. It's not. It's
Oh.
more of shock and disappointment.
Well,
I would say, at least from my standpoint.
And for you and I, it's frustration because we know a bunch of those guys there, and we know how hard they train, we know how hard they work, we know how much they believe in that company.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, think about it. There's an X Division match with 4 guys that were throwing themselves all over the ring, off of scaffolding and whatnot.
And Kaz and Robbie E shining in that match beyond the other two.
Right. I mean, and then, you had, the opening match, even though, it was a hardcore match. You know what? All those guys take chances every time they go in the ring. And they try to give us the best they can. But when the last 2 matches end with creative nonsense or politics or whatever it is, that overshines everything else that happened.
Yep. Well, we'll hear a lot more from you, I'm sure, tomorrow night on the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN, which will be streaming live here on Blog Talk Radio and also on ESPNMilwaukee.com. That'll be right after WWE Raw. And you know what? I got to say, going into this pay-per-view, TNA gave me no reason to look forward to it. Coming out of it, I really don't even have words. I mean, it was a pay-per-view that we purchased because of the show and the coverage that we had to provide, and even for that, it's like I don't even know if we can do that anymore, which is a sad state of affairs.
Yeah. Mhm.
Man, oh my.
Yeah.
All right, David Hero, DHHS. We're going to see you tomorrow night on 540 ESPN. Let's go to some of your phone calls. Remember, we're going to be acknowledging you by your area code and that you're calling from, and if you could share with us your name and the city you're calling from, we will go ahead and take your question. If you could go ahead and ask your question quickly and then drop off so we can move on to another caller, as we've only got a few minutes of show left here. We will go ahead and get to as many people as we can. Our first caller is calling from, it looks like, the San Antonio area from the 210 area code. You're live here on the Pro Wrestling Report post-show for TNA Victory Road.
Hey, this is Justin. I just want to make a very quick comment. I mean, that was one of the most horrible endings I've ever seen in my life. It was like I was watching back, WCW New Blood Rising 2000 all over again. I mean, that's how bad it felt for me. I mean, I'd rather watch Bastion Booger and Renegade in the TLC match with Doc Hendricks and Don West on commentary than to see that. Yeah. But I mean, that was probably one of the worst endings. I had a lot of faith in TNA. I'm a TNA fan, but I mean, by God, I mean, obviously that's a Russo booking right there. You can obviously tell that he booked that match, and probably the last couple matches. I mean, a 7-year-old could book something better than that. I mean, that's how bad it was. I mean, I'm very much losing faith in TNA. Dixie Carter should use her Twitter and actually make a public apology on her Twitter feed, and so should Jeff Jarrett, because I mean, I think everybody who worked hard, hard-earned money for that, $35 to give us that crap, the last 2 matches, that I think they should really make an explanation Thursday.
All right, a lot of people quickly want to go to blaming Vince Russo for this, and we talked about this on the last TNA pay-per-view post-show. I'm not sure if one man deserves all the blame for this, because it takes a lot of people to, A, make these calls, and B, decide that these are the right thing to do. And there's a lot of stink on this pay-per-view tonight. I can't say that one person deserves all the blame for it. So we're going to continue taking your phone calls. Thank you very much. Justin calling down from Texas for being a part of the program. Let's go to a caller now in the 832 area code. Caller, what's your name and where are you calling from?
What up, Damien? It's Ricardo from Houston, Texas.
Hello, Ricardo. How are you, sir?
I was great 3 hours ago, but anyways, you've acknowledged on this show that I hate TNA.
Uh-huh.
I hate them even more tonight. This was such a waste of time. It's not even funny anymore. It's just atrocious the pay-per-view they put on tonight. I don't even know what to say. I mean, I really do hate TNA with a passion.
Hate is a very strong word.
It is a very strong word. I don't hate many things in life. I mean, I really hate what they put on tonight. I hate it. I can't stand it. It was stupid. I don't know what the hell's going on down there, but and I don't know even know what to say anymore, man. Without getting all nasty, I don't even know what to say anymore.
I can hear the anger in your voice, Ricardo, and I want to thank you for calling in and sharing your thoughts on TNA Victory Road tonight on pay-per-view. You know, I guess the one bright spot here is WrestleMania is coming up in about 20 days. And Frank has chimed in. He's not able to join us here on the post show, but he has sent out a tweet, Frank, because TNA is really struggling at the moment. Great talent with suspect booking equals disaster. So, you know, the sentiment has been not very good for TNA Victory Road tonight. All right, well, let's continue taking phone calls, and let's go to a caller in the 214 area code. Caller, what's your name and where are you calling from?
Hey, Damien, this is Robert from Dallas. I'm Wicked Sin in the chat room on Blog Talk Radio. Still think you guys are the best wrestling radio show on the internet. I've talked to you guys before. Love you guys, and I appreciate everything you do. With that being said, that was an abortion. I feel like Jim Cornette at this point, you know, just feel like just going off and just doing a shoot on everybody. I don't get it, man. I just don't get it, man. This was horrendous. I mean, I'll be honest with you. You know, the first couple of matches were pretty good, but then those last two matches, just abortion. Definitely Vince Russo. I love Hulk Hogan. He's my idol, but, I mean, come on. And now they're talking about Eric Bischoff as the new executive producer for TNA Wrestling. Really? It was definitely an abortion. And last week when Raw was here in Dallas, I was actually hanging out with Byron Saxton, who's a good longtime friend of mine of 13 years. Mm-hmm. I had a better time hanging out with my longtime real-life friend who is on NXT and should be world champion, in my opinion, than watching the abortion of TNA Wrestling tonight. So, again, Robert from Dallas, I posted on the Facebook. I'm Wicked Sin in the room, and love you guys. Thank you for everything you do. And I'll drop off now. Thanks.
All right. Thank you very much for that call, Robert from down in Dallas. Again, there's been consistency in your comments tonight, but I want to throw a challenge out there. Because there's usually one or two who liked this pay-per-view. And I mean the pay-per-view overall, because I think we can all agree that there were several great moments on the pay-per-view. The X Division match I thought was very strong. I thought Robbie E. and Kaz really stood out in that matchup. I thought that the match between Anderson and RVD was different for both men as far as what we've seen lately from them, and thus entertaining. Didn't like the finish. I thought that the tag team matchup between Beer Money and Inc. was a very well done match. So there were bright spots on this pay-per-view. Unfortunately, a whole bucket of manure was dropped on those bright spots at the end of the show. Let's continue taking your phone calls. Let's go to someone in the 404 area code. I believe that's the ATL. Am I correct?
I believe it is, if this is the one you're talking to.
Yes, indeed. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yes, my name is Joshua, and I am from ATL-ish, Alpharetta, a little ways north.
All right, understood. What did you think of TNA Victory Road tonight?
A lot of things. First of all, I am like the biggest Sting mark in the whole world, have been since I was 3 years old. I seriously think there was either something wrong with Hardy, maybe even the ring, honestly. I did not see it. I was listening on the stream. But just honestly, I do not think Sting would go out there and just do a squash if that was the case. Just knowing him and following him throughout the years, I don't think he has the character to just want to squash someone of any level in a main event. He wants to give the fans what they're looking for.
I would tend to agree with you, and there's a level of professionalism that everyone wants to exhibit when they're out there in the ring, and they want to put on a good show, because they know at the end of the day, most fans are going to blame them if they don't like what happens, and it's unfortunate that they're the ones that get the blame on this show for tonight. Let's go to another caller calling from the 217 area code, I believe somewhere in Indiana. You're live here on the Pro Wrestling. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Hi, this is Jack. I'm calling from Rantoul, Illinois.
Oh, all right. Tremendous. Welcome. Jack, what'd you think of the pay-per-view tonight?
I thought it was decent all the way up till, like Abel said, up until Jeff Hardy and Sting. And what I would have done if I were booking the match, would have done the match earlier and then come back to that.
Yep. That's a valid point.
Had like Eric Bischoff and them in the back, like having a meeting, discussing with their executives, quote unquote.
Yep.
And just come back to it.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you very much, Jack, for that call. You know, it's an interesting point. You know, they could have easily put that match in the middle of the card and done it the way they did it, if that's the way they needed to do it, and then maybe done something different later. Maybe it's a rematch, or maybe the number winner of the number one contender match then got the opportunity that night. Do something. Put forth some effort, because no matter what the reasoning was for why they did what they did, that explanation will never be accepted by the wrestling community. Let's go to a caller who looks like he's calling us on Skype, username Drifter8881. Your name and where are you calling from?
Hi, Damien. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Perfect. My name's Larry. I'm calling from Moncton, New Brunswick on the east coast of Canada.
Oh, I love it. Welcome.
Excellent. Yes, I tried to call on the radio show, but the number doesn't work for us. So I've listened to you for the last year thanks to YouTube.
Oh, thank you very much for tuning in. What did you think of the pay-per-view tonight?
Well, I was really looking forward going into it. In fact, I was talking about it with friends online about some of the matches I want to see, especially, Sting and Hardy. Street. Always one of my top guys. So I'm like the rest of you guys out there. I'm not sure what happened tonight, but I don't think Hardy looked all that well. And I'm kind of sick of seeing bombs that TNA keeps throwing on me.
Yeah.
Tonight was AJ and Matt Hardy.
I would tend to agree. That was a great matchup, and I would venture to say a lot of people didn't think Matt Hardy would be able to bring that style of or that level of action to a wrestling match. A lot of Matt Hardy haters out there.
Yeah, and I think he pulled out some stops tonight. Him and RVD had a good match. I really was hoping something better out of Matt Morgan Hernandez. That was an absolute flop. The women's match was a flop. So overall I have to give it a fail.
All right. Well, thank you very much for that call. Having a little bit of audio difficulties there. We appreciate that, though, calling over Skype. Let's go to our next caller as we continue talking about TNA Victory Road on pay-per-view. Actually, before we do that, I want to ask everybody to do me a favor right now. Stop listening. Stop whatever you're doing. Look right here on the page that you're listening to the show from and click on that follow and favorite button. Follow the Pro Wrestling Report. Become one of our friends here on Blog Talk Radio so that you never miss an episode of the Pro Wrestling Report. And we appreciate that. We're also on Twitter. Our Twitter username is @PWRShow. And really a lot of angry wrestling fans out there tonight. And I believe it's justified anger for them. We're also on Facebook. Our Facebook username is facebook.com/Pro Wrestling Report. Let's go to another caller calling us from the 517 area code. Caller, what's your name and where are you calling from?
Hey, Damien, this is Eric from Michigan.
Hey, Eric.
Did you happen to, two things. Did you happen to notice Eric Bischoff telling Jeff Hardy, we need to make this quick, lay down? And also,
no, I didn't catch that at all.
I want to put in my pre-order right now for WWE's The Rise and Fall of TNA.
Well, was there a rise?
No, there was a rise to a 1.4 rating.
Well, Eric, thank you very much for that call from Michigan. I didn't catch that, actually. I'm going to try to, while we're looking at this here, I'm going to try to go back to that point in the pay-per-view and see if I can't find that audio that you say exists with Eric Bischoff saying we need to make this quick, lay down, because if that is indeed the case, that will show you that there was a lot more to this story that we need to figure out. And don't you worry. We're going to have the complete story for you come tomorrow night's ESPN radio show, because we have connections and have ways to get from the people who were there and don't need to politic the answer as to what the story was, so why this match between Jeff Hardy and Sting was so short. And just queued up the tape here to that particular point in the matchup. We're going to see if we can't catch those comments. But in the meantime, let's go to a caller calling us from the 269 area code. Caller, what's your name and where are you calling from?
Hello?
Hello, caller in the 269. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Oh, Ronnie, and from Battle Creek, Michigan. As a fellow, I've called in before, but as a fan of RVD a long time now, from way back in the ECW, the highlights of the pay-per-view, I would say, were definitely the tag team match, and I was expecting a little bit more out of the Hernandez match.
Uh-huh.
And Matt Hardy match, the ending, or just the match overall, I thought was decent. It wasn't the greatest. I thought they could have done better. And then the ending of RVD Anderson match, I thought that was a major letdown. And the ending of the main event that everybody's mad about, and I'm totally mad about, they could have done so much better. Like, if, like you were saying, that some other caller was saying that they could have easily, if that was the actual plan, if that's the actual plan, they could have thrown that at, before the tag team match, throw the tag team match in there, and then had like a triple threat match for the ending because of it being a double countout.
Yeah,
they could
a number of things that they probably could have done in that matchup, but at the end of the day, what they did was certainly not worth $34 or $44. I want to thank you for that call, Ronnie, out in Michigan. And, I would read all of your comments happening here on Twitter and on our Facebook page, but, wow, you guys are very, very passionate about this and have a lot of very choice words for TNA Wrestling. I think what's going to be the most entertaining thing tonight is to look at TNA Dixie's Twitter feed and watch some of your responses to her. And keep in mind, we've talked about this for a long time. At the end of the day, these people are still human beings. The best criticism is the criticism that addresses real issues and is constructive in nature. Personal attacks will get you nowhere, but certainly feel free to express yourself in the public forums that exist out there. And let's go to our next caller, who is calling us from the 323 area code. Caller from the 323, you're live.
Hello?
Hi, what's your name and where are you calling from?
My name is Walter. I'm calling from Los Angeles.
From where?
Los Angeles, California.
Oh, Los Angeles. I saw Battle L.A. today at the movie theater. Tremendous movie.
Right.
You gotta see that.
Well,
anyways,
I think
what did you think
I should have seen that instead of seeing TNA today.
It would have been cheaper for you to come out much better.
Yeah, because I'm a die-hard TNA fan. I've been waiting for TNA since Bound for Glory to come to around this area, and now it's like it died off.
Yeah.
I was saving my money for Lockdown. I'm just gonna order WrestleMania now. I don't even care about Lockdown no more.
Wow.
That's how bad it is. It's ridiculous. I mean, I'm a fan. Politics shouldn't be interfered like in a show, I guess, but that was just really awful. I have no words for that. It's just awful. I'm just saddened by TNA. It's like
it's a letdown
for them.
It's a letdown going into lockdown.
For me, I don't get TNA here. Like, they don't come around this area, and I've been waiting them like forever to go to a live show.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's like, oh my God, now I don't really want to see them no more.
And that's a shame of it all because they put on such great live events, and but the thing is, just tonight they showed that you can show up at a pay-per-view, you can show up at a live event, you can show up when they're on the road, and you might get this. And that's not good.
Yeah. I feel like they spit on my face. That's how I feel.
It's a great way to sum it up. And, Walter, thank you very much for that call out in Los Angeles, California. Lots of calls tonight. We've gotten to many of you already. We're going to continue trying to get to as many calls as we can. It looks like we've got another caller calling us from the 323 area code. Caller in the 323, you're live.
Hey, Damien. Name's Ken. Longtime TNA fan.
Okay.
And yeah, the main event, whatever, complete waste of time. But my anger isn't about the main event itself. It just describes a microcosm of what's happened to TNA in the past 4 years. They have had great homegrown talent: AJ Styles, Samoa Joe, Beer Money, Motor City Machine Guns. They've had all this great talent who put on great matches, and they keep getting buried by all these also rans and chaos for the WWE who keep needing hanging on to the wrestling business and taking hard-earned money for people who actually want to go out and give a great match every night, regardless of how many people are watching, regardless of what the share rate is.
Well, Ken, I got to say this, and you get a little worked up, and I appreciate that, but I got to say this. I don't think anything that happened tonight ultimately was about the talent. And I want to make the point again.
I agree.
It's the talent who suffer from what happened tonight. no matter what the real story is on whether or not Jeff Hardy or anybody else was fit to perform, it's the talent overall that went out and risked their lives to entertain us tonight. And at the end of the night, they did so for nothing, because everybody is just running this pay-per-view down, and nobody saw anything good out of it, and not even the amazing efforts that we saw from several talents in that company tonight in the middle of that ring.
I agree. And look at the X Division match. That was supposed to be TNA's signature division, the X Division. You had great talent putting on amazing matches every night, and now that division is just getting swept aside, because now all the TNA fans who pay their money are just talking about that 2-second main event. It's unfathomable.
Yep. Well, we got to move on to the next caller. Thank you very much for that call, Ken. Let's go to a caller now calling from the 773 area code. Caller, you're live here on the Pro Wrestling Report.
Hey, this is Mike from Chicago.
Hey, Mike, how are you tonight?
Good. I just had a quick comment. Like, I thought like the AJ Styles and Matt Morgan match was decent. I thought the beer money and the tag match, like, that was really good. But the end, I just had a quick question. I noticed like Sting looked really confused or angry when the match ended. Like, he didn't react like he just won a main event retaining the title. Like, he had this just look of just kind of like befuddlement that I think everybody else had and that was watching.
You know, Sting looked very confused. Everybody looked very confused. There's certainly more to this story. Whether it's what's being reported out there now, and if you know anything about this program, we're going to wait and speak to people who are in the know before speculating. And maybe that's already happened. I haven't looked at those that are reporting, but we're getting reports of what Jeff Hardy's condition may or may not have been tonight. And once we can verify and confirm whatever those stories are, we'll have all that information in factual form tomorrow night on the ESPN radio show. But, you know, there was something went down. Something wasn't right, because the TNA last month, their pay-per-view ended just before 10 o'clock. Let's not forget that, 10 o'clock Central. Tonight, it was, 9:28, 9:30, 9:40 maybe? They were done and going to video packages and whatnot. Something went amiss. Something went terribly, terribly wrong tonight, and we're going to try to figure out exactly what that was and try to have the details of it tomorrow night for you on our ESPN radio show. Mike, are you going to order another TNA pay-per-view in the near future?
No, probably not.
All right. Thank you very much for that call, Mike. Let's go to another caller calling us from the 256 area code. Caller, what's your name and where are you calling from?
Hey, my name is John. I'm from Alabama.
Hey, John, how are you?
I'm good. I just finished watching the show, and I thought it was a great pay-per-view up until the last match, and I was just reading, I'm trying to find out what happened just like everybody else out there. And apparently PW Insider has reported that Hardy was arrested after the show, that fans are reporting that Hardy got arrested and was escorted out of the building. So, I'm not sure if it's true or not, but from PW Insider. So
we have not heard those reports, but obviously that is easy to confirm, and we'll work on confirming or denying what happened down there in Orlando. Guys, again, we've made this point a couple times. We're going to get the story here. There's no doubt about it. We'll probably have it tonight and give you all the information, all the facts on what happened tonight at the TNA pay-per-view, the reasoning behind this screwjob finish, and the reason being behind the pay-per-view ending on such a sour note. And we'll have that for you tomorrow on our 540 ESPN radio show. We don't want to speculate or jump to any conclusions at this point. There certainly is a story, and we will find out what it is. John from Alabama, thank you very much for that call. I think that's the last call we're going to be able to take, as we only have about 2 minutes of show remaining. In summary, you hated this pay-per-view, but I hope you realize the effort put forth by all the stars who participated in it. And I hope you realize that what happens in the office in any wrestling company is not reflective of what happens with the talent in the ring. I hope you realize that tonight, it wasn't just us that suffered, but it was a lot of men, a lot of women who put forth such tremendous effort each and every night to entertain us, who are the recipients of just a royal royal screwing tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, we want to invite you to follow and friend this show right here on Blog Talk Radio. Never miss an episode. I want to invite you also to check out our website, pwrshow.com. And the next time we're going to be with you here on Blog Talk Radio for the post show is right after WrestleMania 27 from the Georgia Dome. We will be live talking about WrestleMania 27. And one thing I can assure you, the main event at WrestleMania will not end in under 2 minutes' time. For David Hero, this is Damian Nelson saying thank you to the dozens of you who called in, the hundreds of you who joined us live for the stream, and the hundreds of you who chatted and followed us on our Twitter account. And the conversation will continue even after we go off the air on Twitter and Facebook. This is the Pro Wrestling Report. Visit us at pwrshow.com.